Finally, I actually got a chance to watch a film made by a YouTuber on a big screen. Now, I might not be a hardcore member of the Markiplier fandom, but I've always been familiar with him. From the few videos of his I've seen, he comes across as a genuinely sincere guy. Someone who gives his absolute all to the craft, loves the process of making things, and truly wants to give his fans quality content. I'm honestly loving this new wave of filmmakers. They are living proof that if you love something and work hard enough for it, you can actually have it. It shows the system isn't as rigged as people say. If you work on your dreams, you can achieve them. It's possible. We have seen it happen recently with RackaRacka brothers, with the success of Talk to Me and Bring Her Back. Then there was Chris Stuckmann with Shelby Oaks. I actually haven't been able to see that one yet because typical for India, it wasn't available here at launch. I really want to watch it. And I know I could say let's see to find it, but I don't want to. I want to actually pay for it and support the creator. But there's just no option for it in India, on VOD or any OTT platform yet. That's why I was so focused on Iron Lung. When I first heard Iron Lung was getting a wider release, I was interested, but I had my doubts. I didn't know if it would even hit India, and even if it did, would it play it in my city? But thank God, it actually showed up here and I was able to catch a screening. The first thing I have to say is, I really hope Markiplier keeps making movies. I went in totally blind. I didn't even know it was a game adaptation. I hadn't even watched the trailer or the teaser because I was so sure it wouldn't be released in India. I didn't want to get my hopes up only to be disappointed. I've been burned too many times by local distribution, so I walked in knowing nothing and came out loving it. I want to be clear right away, it's not a 10 out of 10 perfect film, but it is a very good one. Even though I know nothing about the game or the lore, the film was still incredibly enjoyable. It doesn't feel the need to explain every single thing. It's not a dialogue heavy movie and it has a bit of an open ending, yet it isn't hard to understand. It might feel a little confusing at points if you aren't a gamer, but it's still very accessible. I was able to piece together most of it in that first viewing without needing any prior context. The setting is pure nightmare fuel, a post-apocalyptic future where an event called the Quiet Rapture caused the all-stars and habitable planets to just vanish. In this void, a convict is sent to search an ocean of blood found on a desolate moon, cramped inside a tiny submarine nicknamed the Iron Lung. The fact that Markiplier wrote, directed, edited, and acted in this is insane. It is no small feat to carry a 2-hour film entirely on your own shoulders, but Mark did an extraordinary job. The movie is set entirely inside that submarine. It's just one small room and Mark is the only person you see. You hear other voices, sure, but the camera never leaves him. At the very beginning, I actually worried he might struggle with the acting. The film starts with some pretty generic dialogue, and he uses this very heavy American dude accent. You know, that really deep, gravelly voice. For a second, it felt like the kind of generic dialogue you'd hear in an old cheap video game. But as the minutes ticked by, I got so absorbed in the atmosphere that I forgot all about that. Markiplier was fantastic as Simon, a convict forced into a mission he clearly didn't want any part of. He perfectly captured the fear of the unknown, the claustrophobia, and the sheer anxiety of the situation. To put yourself in a confined space for 2 hours knowing you are the only thing the audience has to look at is an incredibly bold move. If he had been a wooden-faced actor, it would have been a torture to sit through. A million things could have gone wrong with a setup like this, but they didn't because Mark gave it his all. What I really love about the guy is that he didn't do a GoFundMe or go to a big studio begging for a budget. He put up $3 million of his own money and went all in. That's all I needed to hear to be on board. From now on, I'm a Markiplier fan for life. And the fact that the fans gave him a 400% return on that investment, that's insane. But it's definitely well deserved. The direction is so good that you can't really tell where the acting ends and the directing begins. I'm amazed at how he captured the feeling of being stuck in such a small space and used that space to build constant tension. For most of the runtime, I was right on the edge of my seat. He nailed the small details like the rugged beat-up look of submarine's interior it feels like the sub has already been through hell. You really feel the weight of the ocean and the stakes of the limited oxygen. It turns the whole thing into a running against the clock survival story in an ocean of literal blood. There's a great detail where, when the sub returns to the station, you see them regularly cleaning blood off the windows. It's a small touch, but it adds so much to the world building. An ocean of blood just screams death. You can't help but wonder where all that blood came from. As an audience, you feel trapped with Simon. He has to go deep to find something, anything, but no one really knows what they are looking for. And because it's blood, you know there have to be creatures or something out there that killed everything to create this sea. It's terrifying and fascinating at the same time. One of the absolute best parts of the movie, the thing that really got under my skin, is that flash camera inside the submarine. Since the Iron Lung doesn't have windows, that camera is the only way Simon and the audience can see what's actually out there in the red. The way it flashes and then displays the image inside is just masterfully done. In a theater on that massive screen, it is pure dread. You are sitting in the dark and then boom, a grainy black and white shot of a literal ocean of blood. It's incredibly creepy. I honestly believe this is something you can only truly feel on the big screen. If you wait to watch this on a OTT platform later, I don't think you'll experience that same gut punch of terror. There are these split-second moments where you see skeletons or these massive tentacles pressing against the hull. Man, it's weird and haunting. It proves Iron Lung is a very thoughtfully shot film that knows exactly how to weaponize its limitations. The film does a great job of maintaining that heavy claustrophobic tone, taking its time to let the tension simmer. However, it does stumble a bit with the flashbacks. We get these glimpses of Simon's past and why he was convicted in the first place. And honestly, I didn't like them. My take is that they should have either committed to showing his past properly or just left it out entirely. Every time a flashback popped up, it felt like it hindered the momentum. You are trapped in the sub, your heart is racing, and then suddenly, you are pulled out of the moment. It broke the spell for me. For most of the runtime, you are just sitting there wondering, where is this going? How can this possibly end? You're trying to wrap your head around the sheer scale of an ocean of blood. The last 30 minutes is where you finally realize the true vastness of the nightmare. The scale of it is overwhelming. Markiplier's physical performance here is intense. It's not just acting, it looks exhausting. By the end, the entire screen is just soaked in red. It shifts from a psychological thriller into something that feels like a blood-drenched Evil Dead finale. And I absolutely love that shift. I'll admit we don't get many concrete answers. For some viewers that might be frustrating. They might walk out asking what was the point. But for me, Iron Lung is all about the vibe. It's about the suffocating feeling of being in a place where you know deep down that the end is just death. It's about the hopelessness and eventually just accepting your fate. The dialogue isn't perfect. There are definitely a few too many forced F-bombs that felt a bit YouTubey rather than natural. But again, the atmosphere carries it. I love the constant guessing game. Is this actually real? Is Simon just hallucinating from oxygen deprivation? Is he literally in some version of hell? There's also a brief conversation about God that I really wish they had delved into more. In a universe where the stars have literally gone out, that's a heavy topic to leave on the table. To be honest, those final 30 minutes are exactly why we still go to the movies. That final act is visually stunning for any horror fan. The sound design is also top tier, which I honestly expected from a YouTuber turned filmmaker, since we usually have a great ear for that. While it has an open ending, it's not the kind that leaves you totally lost. You get the gist of it. You understand the tragedy of what actually happened to Simon and the universe. It's bold, bloody and claustrophobic debut that stays with you long after the credits roll. At the end of the day, Iron Lung isn't just a movie. It's a middle finger to the idea that you need a massive studio or a committee of executives to make something that actually makes people feel something. Seeing Markiplier take that $3 million gamble on himself and turn it into a blood-soaked, claustrophobic nightmare is exactly what the film industry needed in 2026. If you are looking for a film that wraps everything up in a neat little bow and explains every cosmic mystery, Iron Lung might frustrate you. But if you go to the movies for an experience, to feel your heart race in a dark room while you're trapped 2000 meters deep in a sea of blood, then this is a must watch. It's gritty, it's experimental, and it's unapologetically weird. Despite the forced dialogue and the slightly distracting flashbacks, the sheer ambition on display is undeniable. Markiplier has officially moved past YouTuber and into the rank of filmmaker. Between this, Bring Her Back, and Shelby Oaks, we are witnessing a genuine shift in how movies get made, and I'm here for it. Even if Indian theaters make it hard for us to catch these gems, this one was worth the wait. I walked in a skeptic and walked out a fan for life.